Hello, I'm Michelle Harrison. I write books for children and young adults. I'm probably best known for my Widdershins adventures, which are A Pinch of Magic and Book 2, A Sprinkle of Sorcery. I've always loved reading and stories, which is part of the reason why I wanted to write them. Now, I know many of you will be taking part in this year's Summer Reading Challenge, so I want to give you my top tips on how to make this as enjoyable as possible, because the number one thing that reading should be is fun. So, number one, read what you really want to read. That might sound obvious, but sometimes I feel a lot of pressure when it comes to feeling like I have to read a book. This might be because it's a prize winner or because everyone else is reading it, but if it's not for you, you don't have to. When I was at school, I hardly ever enjoyed the books that we were made to read. But when you can pick what you want, then it's completely different. Number two, if you're not enjoying a book, then stop reading. If it's becoming a chore to read, then you shouldn't finish it. Life's too short to struggle with stories that are not really for you, especially when there are so many great books out there waiting for you to discover them. Number three, reread your favourites. There's nothing wrong at all with reading books that you loved again and again. This is something I always did as a kid. I must have read the famous 5 books dozens of times because the characters felt like friends to me. This is something that I'd especially like parents and carers to remember, because all reading is good reading. Which brings me to number 4. That includes comics, graphic novels and magazines. It's still reading. And finally, number 5, audiobooks. These have been a revelation to me. I started listening to audiobooks a few months ago in order to cram as many stories in as possible. So now I've always got one on the go when I'm doing things around the house, like when I'm making the dinner or when I'm doing the dishes. And even better, you can listen to them absolutely free from your library. I use the Borrow Box app, but there is also the RB Digital and Overdrive that you can borrow from, and this includes ebooks. Best of all, it's really easy to access these without having to go anywhere. So those are my top tips, and if you'd like to know more about the kind of books I read, there's a page in my FAQ on my website where I share my favourite stories, and you can find that at michelleharrisonbooks.com. Have a great summer and happy reading.